Barakatuh. How are you, Hassan?
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. عبد الله، how are you?
Thank you so much for giving us from your valuable time. We'll get right
Alhamdulillah.
into it. The first question is, how did you get involved with CARE?
When I was growing up, I actually wanted to be an airline pilot. But something happened in my life that really changed that, and that's when I was just turned 18. I was just finishing my first year in college, and I was going to an Islamic conference, the Reviving the Islamic Spirit conference in Toronto, Canada. And when we came back, they saw my mom in hijab and told her to go in for random inspection and at the U.S. Customs. And we went into this random inspection. I looked around, and everybody there was Muslim. There's about 40 Muslims, kids, elderly couples. We were held for 6 hours. We were all American citizens. Meanwhile, non-citizens were in and out in 5 minutes. But because we attended an Islamic conference, we were held for 6 hours. We were fingerprinted, photographed, first treated like criminals. And that was a big wake-up call for me. It made me realize that our liberty in America is under threat, and that while a lot of us growing up, especially like I'm an immigrant, I was born in Syria. I came here when I was 4 years old. You're usually concerned about foreign affairs, foreign policy, and we really had to realize that our liberty at home is threatened, and if we don't invest in protecting our civil rights and our freedoms at home, we may lose it. So that actually night changed my life, inspired me to switch career minds and start thinking of going down the legal route. So I actually ended up deciding to go to law school and went to law school in Buffalo. Now, while I was in law school, I also noticed the New York Police Department, NYPD, was targeting the Muslim community even in Buffalo, spying on us, recording our Friday sermons, tailgating our imams, putting patrol cars out around the mosques. The FBI was engaging in entrapment operations. So I really felt that our community, in particular, our rights were threatened, and the rights of all Americans by extension, because we are Americans after all. So I decided, to really pursue a career in civil rights, and working for CARE was actually a dream of mine. I actually interned at CARE after that summer because that year when I had been stopped by customs after my first year in college, I ended up suing the U.S. government with the ACLU and CARE National. And CARE National then offered me an internship there, so I interned. It was an amazing job, an amazing experience interning in D.C. And I always had that in the back of my mind. Then I, finished college, finished law school, and then in my last year of law school was applying for jobs and saw this position with CARE Tampa at the time. Didn't think I would get it, but I said, what the heck, let me apply for it, and I did. And I got it right out of law school. I came down as the only full-time staff member in the region. But since then, we've grown tremendously. We've doubled in size every year for the last 5 years. So we were 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 20, now 23 staff members,
Awesome.
6 lawyers, alhamdulillah, 4 offices in the state of Florida. 20% of the people we help aren't even members of the Muslim community. So we have become a premier civil rights organization for everyone. I'm really driven by the philosophy that Islamophobia is one of the biggest threats that is facing this country. It's a tool that's used to undermine freedom domestically and escalate conflict globally. And American Muslims are in the best position to challenge Islamophobia. And by challenging Islamophobia, we can help keep America a free and just nation for all people, and we can promote peace in the world. So that's a tremendous opportunity that we have to do good in this country. And also, the American Muslim community is under threat. But the best way to respond to that isn't by hiding our identity, but rather by proudly holding on to our faith and our tradition and serving the community and defending justice and being champions for the poor and the needy. That's the best thing that we can do. And I'm very proud that CARE Florida has grown into that, where anybody in the state of Florida who's oppressed because of their race, because of their religion, they know that they have within us, the Muslim community, allies that will stand and defend their rights. And that's why now 20% of our clients aren't even Muslim at CARE Florida. And I'm very proud of that.
Hassan, that was a great response. You actually answered like 3 or 4 more questions in one, which I think was great. I was going to ask you about, your thoughts about the American Muslim community, the biggest threats, what your vision is, and so on. And so that was awesome. Question, what do you think was the highlight so far of your career with CARE Florida? What are you most proud of?
It's every year I find that there's another just major case that really saves somebody's life, that just has tremendous impact. So, it's been really inspiring to see how much the organization has grown from like an $80,000 a year budget to a $1.2 million a year budget, from 1 staff member to 23 staff members. The number of people we've been able to reach out and touch and have a positive impact on their life, whether they're members of the public whose perception of the Muslim community has changed after interacting with us, or whether it's our clients. Really, at the end of the day, nothing is more rewarding than seeing the positive impact we've had on the lives of our clients. A couple of the most memorable cases, actually 2 that really stand out for me off the top of my head really, is the Tariq Abu Khadir case. He was a 15-year-old kid at the time who was visiting his family in Jerusalem, was tied up by Israeli police and then beaten up, knocked unconscious, woke up in an Israeli prison, had no way of returning home. And through our advocacy, we were actually able to get him out of the prison within 72 hours and on a flight home within 2 weeks. And then to touring Congress, visiting the White House, and speaking out about his experience. But one of the most rewarding nights of my career was that night when we welcomed Tariq al-Khadir home at the airport, and just had his friends, his family. The airport was filled with members of the community, lots of lights, lots of camera. You can see the footage of it. It was a very rewarding night where you have this kid who, when I first got that case, I didn't know, that kid might have ended up in Israeli prison for years potentially. We didn't know if we'd see him again, but we worked tirelessly. We didn't sleep for 3 nights in a row. We worked very hard. We put our trust in God, put forth our best effort, and we prayed. And it was difficult, and nothing was more rewarding than seeing that kid safe in our arms. And when I first learned about Tariq was actually from seeing his picture on social media. You see this young 15-year-old kid whose face is huge because it's from the bruises, purple and bloodied. And to go from seeing him on Facebook like that in an Israeli prison, wondering if he'll ever make it out, to welcoming him at Tampa International Airport with all the national media with us, with the community with us, that was very rewarding. Another very rewarding case was the case of an imam in Orlando that the government wanted to give 20 years in jail. And the only evidence they had, because they called him a terrorist, and the only evidence they had was that he possessed Islamic books and he taught others the Quran. I saw this as a direct assault on our freedom and liberty as Americans. And I called out a U.S. attorney at the time in public. I said, "You're threatening the liberty of all Americans. What is wrong with you?" And nonetheless, they pursued the case, and we analyzed the case. We testified in the defense, and the judge quoted us verbatim when he released the imam back to his kids. Otherwise he'd been facing 20 years in jail for exercising the First Amendment. So that's another tremendous case. And there's just so many cases like that. Last year we got about 1,500 calls for help. We opened up about 500 cases for the community. It's just the positive impact we've been able to have on the lives of people that's really most rewarding.
That is awesome. Tell me, there's a video that went around, I don't know, about a month or two ago, somewhat recently, that it was a short clip of you telling people that in order to confront or to combat Islamophobia, we should grow out our beards, speaking to Muslim youth, Muslim men, I guess, in America and so on. What's the thought process behind that video? Well,
one of the biggest things that scares me isn't really the Islamophobia and the attacks against the Muslim community. Yes, there's a drastic increase in Islamophobia in America. There is an increase in hate crimes, but you know what? We really have it easy. American Muslims have it easy. We have it easy compared to other minorities who literally fear for their life every time they get pulled over by the cops. We fear being held at the border for a few hours. They fear, not making it home alive. So we have it easy compared to other minorities, but we have it easy compared to other Muslims throughout the world. The difficulty we face in being Muslims in America is the same that is found everywhere today. The difficulties are everywhere, but the freedom and the liberty we have to practice our faith is found in very few other places. So what scares me the most isn't the Islamophobes, and it's not the hate crimes. It's basically parents telling their kids, don't look like Muslims in public. Don't identify as Muslim. Hide your faith. Don't appear to be a follower of Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what hurts me. And that's what scares me. So, and I think that undermines our community and empowers the Islamophobes to win. Islamophobes can never defeat us. We can only defeat ourselves of fear and hate to scare us away from who we are. We can't fall into that. So that's why my message is the way to overcome Islamophobia isn't to turn away from our faith and our identity and hide who we are and then just let the image of Muslims be the scary stuff they see on TV. Rather, it's by embracing the sunnah of our prophet, who was sent as a mercy to humanity, embracing our Muslim identity while serving society. That's how you win people over. That's how you overcome Islamophobia. And also, it's a really strong act of solidarity with our Muslim sisters, because often it's the sisters who are out there as ambassadors of our faith, wearing the hijab, and the brothers are going incognito. That's not right. We need to stand in solidarity with them. We need to show our love of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, love of our faith, while working to serve society and serve others. That's how we change hearts and minds. We keep our Creator pleased, and hopefully also win over the creation and help connect the creation with the Creator.
Awesome. That was great. Tell me about your experience on Fox News. I found that very few people are able to actually just, hold their ground and at least, get in a few valuable sentences or phrases and stay calm and cool. And so tell us, what's your experience on Fox News?
Going on Fox News is always a challenge, and there's a question, should we even go on or not? But the reality is Fox News is like the most viewed cable news channel in the country, so you can't ignore it, for better or worse. However, it's interesting because there's interesting dynamics at play. When you go on Fox News, there's two approaches. One is sort of to be very docile, gentle, nice, and the other is to come out strong, calling them out and just being unapologetic. And it's very interesting because one is I don't believe in compromising our beliefs and our values, absolutely. But then the question is, do you be nice in how you do it and gentle, or do you be sort of strong and just aggressive? Personally, I'm a lawyer, so I like the aggressive approach. But, again, you're trying to win hearts and minds. And my experience has shown if you go into Fox News and you're gentle, even if you let them walk over you a little bit and take some hits at you a little bit, what you're going to do is you're going to win over more of the audience. That's the truth. You're going to win. Every time I go on, especially if I'm soft and docile, even letting them take some hits and taking those hits, but remaining calm. And how do I remain calm? With the dhikr, remembrance of God, keeping that remembrance of God going at all times, remembering,
Taking a smile, yeah.
And keeping that smile. The Prophet Muhammad taught us to smile at all times. So keeping that smile and just being patient, and it isn't always easy. But when you do that, you come out winning over a good number of the audience. People always reach out and say, hey, I don't think I was upset. I'm a Fox viewer. I love the show, but I did not like how they treated you. They were not fair. It wasn't right. I'm no longer a fan of the show now. I mean, I've had that, or my respect for Muslims has changed. So, but the problem is the Muslim community sees you and they don't necessarily like it as much. They don't like to see one of their own getting walked over, getting attacked. So then the feedback from the community is, brother, you were too nice. You're too soft. You should have been more aggressive. And I agree, I understand where they're coming from. At the same time, if it meant winning over all these people, then it was worth it. Now, the other approach is you go in aggressive. And what happens when you go in aggressive is you put them in place, and you're on right and they're on wrong, and you make it clear, and you embarrass them and humiliate them. Now, what happens is our community then gets empowered because they see one of our own members of our community, standing with strength, standing with integrity, and being right, and calling out those who are wrong. So it gives them strength and courage, and that's positive. But the problem is then it rubs off the majority of the audience the wrong way. So you won't build those bridges. And I think, it's important sometimes to take one approach, sometimes take another. I mean, sometimes you really just need to reach out to the masses and the public and win them over, even if it means taking a few hits. Sometimes you just got to empower your community when your community's just been getting slammed day and night. So it depends on the approach. But each, obviously, patience is the key, being strategic is the key. And trusting in God and trying your best and just representing who we are, as proud Americans, proud Muslims who are here with a positive message, not simply calling for acceptance and tolerance, but rather proudly showing the world that we have a lot to offer. And what really bothers me is when I hear Muslims just, don't discriminate against us, don't hate us, and just simply calling for acceptance.
The victim mentality, yeah?
Victim mentality. We don't have time for that. We have something tremendous to offer others, to uplift others, to serve others.
The solution, not the problem.
Exactly. The solution, not the problem.
We'll end on this. Yeah. Final question. What is your message to the youth? Because our organization, this first course, just to give you an idea, the first course is about Islam phobia, basically the political climate. But there'll be future courses, inshallah, and the underlying theme is the youth and empowering the youth and building confidence in the youth. So what's your message to the youth?
My brothers and sisters, you are the only thing standing in the way of your success. And that's great, and that's horrible, depending on how you really build yourself up. The most important thing we need is people who have a strong connection and love for their creator and are driven through that love to express love and compassion to the creation and service to the creation. Our faith is the most valuable thing we have. And those who hate us can never take that faith away from us. We can only choose to give it up. So don't respond by choosing to give it up. Rather, hold strong your faith while serving others. And remember, the most important thing at the end of the day, every single day, is what's your connection with the divine and how are you translating that connection to service of others. I really believe our life is just one day long. Our life is simply one day long. And every day God gives us a new chance. He gives us another chance at that one day to show him who we are and what kind of people we are. So let's make use of each and every day to draw closer to God by building our connection with him and serving his creation so that we return to him while he's pleased with us. And of course, we are pleased with him.
Hassan Shibly, thank you so much for your time. May Allah reward you, may Allah protect you, and I hope to see you very soon, inshallah.
Thanks so much.